so in solving problems using simultaneous equations, we want to set it all up right so that we can actually end up getting all the tick-offs on our little tick-off chart that we get when we get an assessment so that we pass everything right. The first of these is actually making sure that we say what our variables are and what they stand for. So as I say, if you've got A, B and C, apples, bananas and cabbages, it makes more sense to use those letters than X, Y and Z all the time. It's absolutely fine to use X, Y and Z. X is apples, Y is bananas and Z is cabbages. Just doesn't make as much sense when you're trying to identify it. So the actual problem is going to come all in words and you have to interpret it. Where it gets difficult is that you are going to have 3 variables, but you're also going to have 3 equations with those variables in it. So sometimes it is quite difficult to work out what the variables actually are. And so the way we do this is we look for the hint that tells us what we're trying to find out. All right? So that what we're looking for hint usually comes at the end of all the words. So it'll say something like, how much did each vegetable cost? Or how fast did each person run? Or la 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 la. All right? So it'll be broken down for you at the end. And then you know that the thing you're trying to find out is actually how fast did the apple run? How fast did the banana run? How fast did the cabbage run? You know what I mean? All right? Or cost, or how many's, or whatever's. But they become your variables of choice. So you're going to be given something else. Like, so for the apples, bananas, they're going to give you a hint like 5 apples, 2 bananas, and 6 cabbages. Finish the race in 2 minutes and 36 seconds. All right? Nonsensical, but half of our problems in maths are always nonsensical. So, we just go with the flow and make sure that we're answering the questions given to us. So what I advise you to do is actually to set up a table so that you know what's going on. So when we set up a table, it's 3 by 3. And we have our first variable here, X. 2, okay, it should be bananas, but we're going to do with this. And our third variable here. And there will be a something or other, because that's going to be our equals 2. All right? And then we'll get some sort of hints, like, so the first hint said 5 X's and 2 Y's and 3 Z's equals $1.57. So there's your equation. All right? So that builds up from whatever hints you've been given. So let's have a look at an example. It's a very old example. I think I've been using this one for about 20-something years now, so welcome to the 20-something year club. So, a Watusi, a person of the Watusi tribe, an Ubangi, and a pygmy. I think that's how you spell it. All right. Compare the speeds they run. All right. The sum of their speeds is 30 kilometres. Not obviously 30 kilometres, but 30 kilometres per hour. All right. The pygmy speed and a third of the Watusi speed is 22 kilometres an hour more than the Ubangi speed. That's 2 hints. We need one more. 4 times the Watusi speed plus 3 times the Ubangi speed minus twice the Pygmy speed is 12 kilometres. Per hour. All right, so there's all the hints, there's all the information that you're given in a nice big huge question that you actually have to pull to pieces and put into equations. So that's probably the hardest part of the whole test to get achieved. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out what are our variables. Our variables are not the 3 equations in this case. We can tell quite clearly that they're equations, so therefore we must have W equals Watusi, U equals Ubangi, and P equals Pygmy. It's really important that you do that. If you don't, you actually do lose grade. All right? So it seems really dumb. You know how pedantic maths assessments are, so don't forget to do it. Then we need to actually work out what our equations are. So those are our 3 variables. So our first one says the sum of each is 30 kilometres an hour. So a W plus a U plus a P equals 30. That's our first equation. All right? Our second equation requires us to think a little bit about what it's saying. So the Pygmy speed and a third of the Watusi speed is 22 kilometres more than the Ubangi speed. Okay, so therefore we've got P plus a third of W equals U plus 22. Can you see that? All right, so we need to move the U over here. It's going to be a negative. So we've got 1/3 of W minus the U plus the P equals 22. Okay? And then the last one is a nice easy one. 4 times the W plus 3 times the U minus 2 times the P equals 12. So those are our 3 equations that we've found out. So we probably next want to write them out nice and tidily. So W plus U plus P equals 30. 1/3 W minus U plus P equals 22. 4W plus 3U minus 2P equals 12. What do you think we're going to do next? We're going to put it in our calculator. All right? Remember what I said? Our first solution we find by putting it in our calculator. So away you go. Put it in your calculator. Tell me what they actually equal. So remember we're putting in 1, 1, 1. So 1, 1, 1, 30. A third, negative 1, 1, 22, 4, 3, negative 2, 12. And that's one of the reasons we need to put them in those columns, is to get them in the right order. If we put them in the wrong order, we're not going to get the right answer. So the question for this was actually, what is unfortunate about the Ubungi? So when we work out our answers, what do we get? Watusi is 12 kilometres per hour. Remember, keep it in context. Ubungi is 0. And the pygmy is 18 kilometres per hour. All right, so the answer would have been that Ubungi is unfortunately unable to run for some reason. All right, so we're going to practice that today.